Standards of public morality set expectations for public management that differ from those of business or household management. The idea of public morality refers to moral and ethical standards enforced in society. Let's summarize 10 of the most basic public standards. They emulate from the American constitutional tradition and are deeply embedded in the practices of public administration. Ignoring any one of these standards undermines the legitimacy of administrative work. The people are sovereign through their state and federal constitutions. They are the ultimate principles in our governing system, but their will is conditioned by the arrangement of institutions, processes, and powers established in those constitutions. Public administrators are subject to the constitutional diffusion of powers and are obligated to support the balance of powers among competing branches of government. Although the career public servant enjoys legitimate authority, its domain is bounded through control of administrative action. Administrative politics is distinguished in part by the tension between respectful subordination and professional autonomy. Government officials share in the obligation to represent us. In doing so, they must balance their own judgment with the expressed wishes and interests of the people, and they must subject their decisions to public scrutiny. Public managers are obligated to find meaningful ways to engage the public in civic dialogue about important public issues and to cultivate participation at key points in the development and execution of public policy. Though government may at times properly treat people as clients or customers, their overarching status as legitimate participants in governance should not be overlooked. Through various modes of delegation, the public administrator is empowered to govern. Career officials are thus held to higher standards of public integrity that can affect their private lives. Depending on the nature of their responsibilities, they may be monitored and restricted in such matters as their involvement in party politics, whether they can hold second jobs, their choice of residence, and how they conduct their financial affairs. As public servants, career officials are obligated to respond in a timely fashion. They can seldom refuse to respond to anyone on any one principle. Significant elements of administrative law require easy access and efficient responses. However, competing demands for responsiveness can compromise quality of service and overall effectiveness. One of the most difficult challenges of democratic public service is determining to who and to what public servants should be responding at any given time. Public administrators are obligated to interpret their policies and decisions within the spirit of due process. This is a much broader responsibility than observance of technical due process under the 5th and 14th Amendments of the Constitution. It means that all policies and decisions must rest on reasoned justifications. Moreover, public officials cannot act on any and every good cause. They may act only on matters that legally fall within the scope of their responsibilities. The principle of limited government would be meaningless without this standard. In addition to fair procedures, public officials must attend to fairness in results. Public administrators must be mindful of disparate impacts of rules and contract provisions. Many agencies also develop processes for granting exceptions in situations where the normal functioning of rules and policies creates an injustice or imposes an undue burden on a small number of citizens. Governmental decisions are much more accessible to institution and public scrutiny than other spheres of life. Agencies are subject to multiple audits, performance reviews, legislative oversight, review hearings, and extensive reporting requirements. Managers must factor this fishbowl condition into almost every decision process. Where decisions are not accessible, public officials are obligated to consider whether a public audience would approve of their action. Would their proposed actions pass the smell test? Though listed last, protection of rights is the chief concern of our governing system, and it pervades all decision-making processes in government. In considering any government action, provisions must be made for the effect that that action has on individual rights. This makes government decision-making and the design of policy and process much more complicated than typical in other spheres of life. When taken together, these 10 standards provide a coherent moral basis for public decisions. They produce practices and obligations with a distinct character that often confounds those who want to make government more businesslike.